something happened, and the TA decided to separate the boys from the girls, and the girls were allowed to board the bus first, and the boys boarded the bus second. And that does sound a little sexist to me, I must tell you. But within an investigation, I don't really know. And I wrote back to the person and I said, thanks for writing. I'll get right on this and we'll investigate tomorrow. So it's not, you know, this person may not get an email from me that really is the answer that they want. I may learn that the boys are, you know, it was a logical consequence today, but it's something that I'm going to seriously look into. It's something I'm going to try and find out about, because in fact we do care. I got an email the night before last from someone who said, I don't want to mention any names, but not all teachers post assignments on time on Google Classroom, and it makes it hard. This was a kid in my advisory who I'm working with to try and stay on top of his assignments, and he's being proactive. And so right now, on Thursday, School Loop, who we have engaged to create our scheduling and portal for the kids, is coming on Thursday to train us so we can get ready for 6th grade. And the first thing I said to Anna was, can we have, and the teachers are being trained and they're going to try and poke holes in the system. And I said, can we have a kid try it out? So, you know, I mean, the kids might not, the students might not always know that we're really considering what they're saying. 2 boys came up to me. Actually, I approached them because I got a report from the band teacher that they were being disruptive in band, that it was taken away from everyone's learning. So I went to talk to them, and they said, you know what, band is kind of boring. When we signed up for band, we thought we were going to be playing more interesting pieces, and it was going to be jazz. So what did we do, Tricia?
We had a jazz section of the band. We broke off the bigger group into 2 smaller groups, and those kids were very happy. Most of the saxophones, most of the 6th grade students who seem to be, you know, advancing, have a separate section. They're playing different music, and then the concert band is playing more traditional music with a different teacher.
So it's the same as with the parents, because sometimes I hear that I am not responsive, or, which really seems funny to me, or I'm not available, or something. But every single child who reaches out to an adult here, and every single adult who reaches out to an adult here, we try to meet with them or talk with them. And I would guess that maybe there's not always the answer that you want to hear, but certainly there's always a response. And I guess one of the things that I would like to do is really be sure that people are reaching out. It's my job. It's my job to understand what your concerns are, and to meet with you, and to understand, and to problem solve together with you. I think sometimes people also go to the SLT for things that they can come to me for. I know I wasn't at the SLT last month, and I don't know if you guys talk about here. I know there was a question about why we took a student in after October 31st, after Wednesday. And there was a comment, well, we always take extra students in because we get money for them. Well, that's a complete misunderstanding, because we don't get, any time you take a student in after Wednesday, you don't get money for that student. But it happened to be a sibling. And so, which sibling would I turn away? And I think most of you know what that answer is. If I can help it, none of them. I mean, I see you laughing because you know what goes on behind the scenes. So, I just want to encourage everyone to come to me, because I'm not too busy. I will always make time. I will always try and address any concerns that you have, but I cannot if I'm not aware of them. And it's not lip service. I think many of you here have reached out to me. And I don't always know the answer, but I am so happy to spend time trying to figure it out with you. And I just want to encourage everyone to do that, because I think that is really what makes the difference and what makes our school really strong. The union that we build together. And And so I just want to continue to encourage people to let me know. Let me know what's going on. So does anybody have any questions or, yes?
Yeah, for the 6th grade, since we are going to have 3 classes, my understanding, right? 3 full classes of 32. What are your plans as far as the homeroom teachers or groups that are currently in place for the 6th grade?
So one of the things I feel that we need to do next year is we need to hire extra teachers for that. Because if you think about needing the 10 classes of humanities for 3 cohorts, that's 30 periods, which is more than contractually teachers can work. And so what I'd like to do, if I can swing it, and I've been moving my chits around the table for a while with my idea of what the budget might look like, is I'd like to bring in an extra humanities teacher for 6th grade, at least for 1 cohort, and I'd like to bring in an extra math teacher. And then as we grow to 8th grade in the following year, we'll have people who are more acclimated to our culture and who know our children. And as a matter of fact, in 6th grade, Kira's going to teach one of the cohorts for humanities. So
she has the license? Do they need the license?
You don't need a license for 6th grade.
6th grade you don't.
No, no. Many teachers have a license that goes through 6th grade, but for 7th you do. For 7th you do. Evie.
So I heard about more science, but now they get science 5 days a week. We're going to get more humanities. I'm assuming that they're
Yeah, they're going to get one
right?
period.
They're going to have math. They're going to have mixed arts, and they'll be able to pick one of those concentrations. I'm curious, once it's a 14-hour school day, what now are we going to be missing?
They're not going to be missing anything. If you think about it, the kids have 5 more periods a week than the teachers because the kids don't have to get a prep. So the kids have 35 periods. So they're going to get 10 humanities, 8 math, 5 science, 2 concentration, 2 mixed arts, 2 gym, 2 Spanish, 2 media literacy. That's 35. I know because I've been moving those numbers around for weeks. So, I mean, but you know what? You're absolutely right. Because it's such a numbers game. Trying to give them everything they need and enough of it is, it's really like, what has to give? And that's where the lunchtime clinics come in. Because if you're a person who wants to get more Spanish in, and there's Spanish at lunchtime, you go do Spanish every day. So that would be additional Spanish. Stacy, did you have your hand up back there?
No, Tricia.
Tricia.
I was just hearing the 2 mixed arts, so is band or the show is going to be twice a week, or is it 2 different mixed arts that they're going to?
No, band 2 periods, just like it is now. It's 90 minutes.
I'm sorry, just to follow up on Evie's, those numbers you just gave us, it's for 6th grade, or is that also?
6th grade is very similar. 6th grade will have 1 less period of media literacy and 1 more, not humanities, but probably library and independent reading.
But those numbers were 5th grade then? I'm sorry.
The numbers for 5th grade?
Yes.
5th grade is going to be pretty similar, except 5th grade has art. And 5th grade has more homeroom because the 5th graders need a little bit more of that rooting.
So does that mean they have fewer, what subject?
No, because they don't have, 5th graders don't have concentrations.
I see,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
there's still
That's
the
a
same
6th
math,
grade,
science,
7th
and
grade.
humanities. Thank you.
Celeste.
I know that we're talking about the upper grades now. I just wanted to find out, and I know it's usually consistent in the lower grades, so, 1, 2, J, 1, 2, 3, how is that going to work next year? Is it consistent?
So it is pretty consistent, except for, we, as you know, we really all have gone deep in mathematics at the school. And we will continue to do that because math we had the pleasure of listening to Joe Bowler, who's a math expert who works at Stanford, who was talking about this idea that we really sell our girls short in math by telling them somehow, oh, I was never good at math, and so we get these young girls who are all of a sudden saying to us, oh, I'm not really that good at math. And that doesn't have to be true. Everyone can be good at math, everyone. And so it's a matter of feeling really confident about teaching math and about learning math. So for K-1 lesson this year, Miss Rachel, who is one of the kindergarten teachers, is very strong in math. So she will probably take a little bit of a lead role with K-1, which means that she might have support in teaching word study or choice time in her classroom to free her up to do that. So it's not really developmentally appropriate for kindergartners and first grade to change classes the way that we can departmentalize 4th and 5th grade. But the truth of the matter is that the research is in, and having expert content specialists makes a difference. And so we will be taking advantage of that as much as we can. And so if Rachel is going to concentrate on K and 1, it means Marcy can really focus on 2 and 3. So just as we want students to be able to go deeper with their learning, teachers can go deeper then with the grades that they support, which is only going to make us stronger teachers and stronger learners and stronger students.
We've already seen an incredible difference this year. I mean, Hudson's coming home very excited. He's saying, I'm doing 3rd grade algebra. I mean, that's what he's telling me. I don't know what's happening
So,
but
you know, since we're a screen school, we can't participate in some of the initiatives like showcase schools, and there's a couple of initiatives going on. I forget the name of the other one that Carmen has going on, where people can actually apply, and then other people come to their school and learn from what the teachers are doing, and they form a community. But we have always been unofficially that kind of school. Yesterday we had about 6 teachers and an assistant principal from PSIS 30 who wanted to come and go through classrooms with us and talk about our teaching methods and talk about how we learn. And we observed a lot of math yesterday, and they were really interested in that. Last Friday, we had 6 teachers and the principal from the citywide in Queens who would like to learn more about inquiry and cane. And so, so K1 will sort of look very similar except for that. 2 and 3 will look very similar. Here's another change that's very subtle that you might not see, but it's an important one. We have a lot of children here at the school who do have special needs, who have something called an IEP, an individual education plan, and they get support services, sometimes in literacy, sometimes in math, sometimes speech, sometimes occupational therapy or physical therapy, sometimes counseling. And so, in the past, we have had only enough students that they would send us someone from the outside to service these kids. And so teachers, those teachers would sort of, you know, pull kids out and push into their classroom. But now, last year, we had enough of the kids who are getting what we call SETS, which is an acronym that stands for Special Education Teacher Support Services. It's really very simple. It's sometimes, you know, we've been talking about this for years, how gifted kids are asynchronous learners. Sometimes kids who tested for the 99th percentile, maybe they don't learn to write, so they're dysgraphic, or maybe they don't process the same as you or I in one content area or another, and they need support in that. So last year we had enough students that we could actually hire 2 special ed teachers. But since we didn't know we were going to have that money until September, the kids were spread out all over the place. And so now this year, we'll be able to concentrate those kids in the same class so that those 2 special ed teachers will be able to support classroom teachers on the grade for certain periods during the day. So what that really will look like is more support. Because when you have an extra adult supporting a teacher, they're not just going to come in and come over here and help Julia and help Joy. They're going to help whoever is around and who's ever struggling, in addition to the kids that they're charged with helping. So it's really more hands on deck, more minds on, and so that'll look a little different. Like when we were walking around in last Friday and yesterday with the teachers from another school, they kept saying, who are all these adults? You know, and it's TAs, special ed teachers, so there'll be that difference. The other thing is we're hiring a full-time music teacher, so we're going to have our own music program. And you know that song that Tracy Bonham wrote for our kids last year, which really should be the anthem for every, it would be really fun to do like a whole citywide thing of all, just make a little film of all the kids singing that song, especially, there's no reason why we couldn't make that happen. So we can teach them that song. We had a really successful 5th grade songwriting class this year that was running around. So we're looking forward to hiring them.
And is violin still in the mix?
So violin is still in the mix. I have to be honest, you know, violin I would like to reshape a little bit. Because I feel that, I don't know, those of you who were here in the first couple of years before Miss Donna joined us, and who remember what art used to be like. We always had a fine art program, but then Miss Donna came, and art is a completely different animal. And so I would really like to spend some time and shape that violin program a little bit more, so that, and perhaps there is some choice involved as the kids are aging up, because some of the kids are not terribly committed to it, and it makes it difficult for those who are. So we will have violin, but it needs to be tweaked. Yeah, I've heard that. Yes, Neil.
What is the sense of kind of philosophy around homework for 6th and 7th grade?
I'm so glad you're asking that. The philosophy around homework, and so Joy and I have made this journey this year together with 6th grade, and so one of the things that I can do a much better job of is letting parents know, letting families know that while we want to foster independence with 6th graders, they need your support. I mean, homework, you know, when you have a humanities teacher, and it's not only 6th grade, but we can focus it on 6th grade. When you have all those different teachers, you have more expectations, and we want to get them used to the rigor of, you know, being able to do assignments and create work, so when they leave us in high school, they're completely ready. So I think that I should do a much better job and meet with 6th grade parents in the beginning of the year, and we can talk about what that should look like. I can tell you that I have a sophomore, a rising junior in my home, and they have a pretty good portal. And even so, in terms of study skills and independence, and every kid is different, he needs a lot of scaffolding, you know? He had a really important appointment today after school, and despite, you know, him having information about an email, despite him having everything, I got back to my desk from a meeting like an hour later saying, what address am I going to again? And I thought, you know what? You're on your own, kiddo, because I emailed you, your contact emailed you, your dad reminded you, you have everything you need right in front of you, right? We have this Google challenge. Google reached out to us, and they're having a coding party for girls. And so they chose our school and Brooklyn New School, and they're choosing 15 girls from each school. And so, in order to do that, the girls had to apply, and they had to write a piece on, you know, answering 3 questions. Why is coding important? Why Google? And why should I be selected? And the directions were very concise and very explicit, and still some kids, and how you needed to apply, when you needed to apply. And some of the girls either missed the deadline or wrote after the deadline and said, where do I submit it again? And, you know, there's a part of me that's just like, oh, well, you know, you submit, and it's like, Sarah's like, Donna, they need to learn this. You know, we very carefully this is disqualified. But this is really important because the skills that we're teaching them now are going to be the skills that they need in high school and beyond. You know, to meet with their college professors, to be able to show up for a job interview and have done the research that they need in order to be the candidate, right? I mean, I want all of our students to be not to get into one high school, but to have the choice of the school that they want to go to. Not just the school that wants them. I want them to be able to decide. And we're going to really have to give them a lot of support and gradually release it so they can do that. And quite frankly, that's why we have the outdoor lunch program. Because these kids are going out on their own. And so it's great that they can go over to Setflow right now and try it out. And then if something happens, they call us or somebody comes running back. How better for them to learn than in, you know, as Nicole's parents always said, right? In the bosom of the home. Let them try it out so that when they are away from us, they know how to respond. They know how to react. That's a gift we have to give them. So I think I can do a better job of that. I continue to learn as a parent, and through the very patient partnership that I have with current 6th grade parents, I've gotten a lot of feedback, and so I hope to do a better job of that next year. Yes, Asha?
For the out lunch thing you go out, is there like what's the perimeter? Like how
Well, right now it's Setflow Park. And so we're thinking of expanding it before the end of the year for 6th graders, but we haven't quite decided that yet because there's some Department of Transportation problems that are going on. There's some signage and some curbs and stuff that we need to be fixed around the neighborhood. So, you know, it'll all come in time. Yes.
What about math team? This year we had math team in 5th grade for everyone, and I don't think it worked out very well, really. What are the plans in 6th grade? Is it going to be a club during the lunchtime? Or?
And the 7th grade teacher who's coming in is going to do, already doing, and we'll do math Olympiads. So we're going to try, we're going to try and do as much of that kind of thing as we possibly can. Because, and that's another lunchtime clinic, because the kids love it. And so why not?
So it's going to be a lunch, for the 6th grade, it's going to be a lunch, one of the lunch clinics.
And that's why I would like to hire the extra math teacher, so that we can make things, make initiatives like that happen. Because if we're really strung out and trying to stretch too thin, so in a way we don't really have funding to hire that many teachers, but in a way it has to happen. Stacy.
how many students will the 6th graders have in their classroom?
So 6th grade is the same as 7th grade. It's capped at 33. Although 7th grade, there is no entrance point for 7th graders. We are losing 2 students to Hunter College Campus School. There's a couple more who are waitlisted, but you never know. And we are losing 2 children who went to prep who are going to private school. So we're losing children who are moving on to high school, basically. And in 7th grade, we will not be replacing those seats. So the class size will be slightly smaller. I think there are maybe 59 or 60 then, or 58, something like that. As you know, in 6th grade, remember we've talked about this for a while now, there were 16 families who had applied to other middle schools, and only 6 of those received placement in those middle schools. If exactly all of those 16 would have been placed in other middle schools, we would have only had 2 cohorts in 6th grade, but we had to build that 3rd classroom up because only 6 are leaving. But it doesn't really change the class size. It will be 33 in 6th grade. But they have the small group advisories, which are, this year I think they're around 10, next year I think they'll be around 11.
One last question.
Sure.
So we're going to have 3 and 6 grade classes.
one sixth grade teacher will teach 2 cohorts, and one sixth grade teacher will teach 1 cohort. Because 3 cohorts is too many for one teacher. To know 99 students would be, I know schools do it, but it would not be very easy. And contractually, that's more periods in a week that a teacher could work, so it doesn't really work out without stressing everybody else out. And really,
Yeah, I just had a question. So, I'm trying to understand some of this.
Sure.
Because I have an IEP for all places in one class. So that is one question. Will that actually support the weekend throughout the day?
no. So here's the thing.
That's a nice, that's like a nice.
Well, but here's the thing. So if you have, many of the children at our school who have IEPs get SETs, Special Education Teacher Support Services. And 90% of that is in literacy. So there will be a 6th grade cohort that has that special ed teacher with them in humanities. But unless the children get those services in math, you won't have that. Now, I already have 2 student teachers for math for next year, and I would very much like to hire TAs for all of those expert classes. We had, and we're rolling over some TA funds this year, we just did not get the kind of candidates that we needed for TAs. We kept trying. I hired, Sophia came in, I don't know, maybe that was January, and I hired a TA a few weeks ago, so for 2nd grade. So we have started publicizing more widely, and we're getting a better caliber of resumes, but a TA is not just a body. And I know that Samantha needs me to leave, but I want to leave you with something, one final thought. And then, of course, if you have questions, you should email, you should call me, I'll sit down with you, we can go over this. We'll have a parent meeting and go over it all in the fall. I was invited to a screening of a movie last night, a film that was made by the Wallace Foundation about 4 principals in New York City and their promising practices, and then Carmen interviewed those 4. And so I thought it was like some citywide thing, you know, all 1,700 principals would be there. And I went, and it was very small. I was invited, so I went because I'm a joiner. I go to these things. And so it was a very small theater, and it was really kind of intimate and nice. And so they start showing this film. And all of a sudden I look up, and one of our TAs from 2 years ago is a teacher in one of these high schools, like being featured. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. There's Miss T. You know, she was with us for 2 years. We trained her. And I thought, oh, and it was just such a nice, quiet affirmation that of our reach, which is beyond these 4 walls. And then the next segment comes on of another school, and there's Julia Chen, another TA who was with us for 2 years, who's working at another of these schools that's being held up as having promising practices. And so it was really nice for me to be quietly sitting there. It wasn't like anybody was saying, oh, good job, nobody knows, and I was able to tell the staff today. But what a nice thing. Like, what an amazing thing. So hiring TAs is not just a body for us. We're really looking for very special qualities of TA. So I know I've overstayed my welcome.
Hey, we're more than happy to have you sit.
And so just call me, all